Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early. It's 3:30 a.m. on the dot here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Did not take me long at all to find the story. I flipped through a couple stories and I see this story, and this is the one I want to talk about. It relates directly to my life, to something that happened, the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. And this, as I read this, I've talked about this guy before, I think, and the way he portrays this is false. It's 100% false. And I want to talk about some of the points I want to make, some very good points. The links will all be down below. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Ethan Schmidt-Crockett. This blonde character, young guy from Arizona, I believe. He made a video before. Now I got to really watch my language here because he used much more offensive language. Him and his buddy, his guy pal, were driving around in a truck, and he talked about how he wants to go across the country. And I'm going to use the word debate because it's much less offensive than the word that he actually used. The word he used is scary. People who put up the LGBTQ, the flag, and it was downright. I got to watch the words I use. I think you know what I'm talking about. It'll be the first video right on top. I'll put the link above. So this is a past video of his, just downright on the verge of criminal. And I got some very, seeing as I went through this in my life myself, and I know the facts. I gotta debate this guy's story. Okay, so now his latest video, he's going into a PetSmart. And he's going up to these poor workers who are probably making, God knows what, 10, 12 bucks an hour or whatever. You know, and they're not making this store decisions, but that has nothing to do with it. So there's a small, it looks like a triangle. It doesn't even look like a flag, or a rainbow flag, a rainbow triangle. And he asked the girl working the cash register, he plays stupid. What is that? What does that mean? And then he goes, it offends me. It greatly offends me. Take it down. Another guy comes up. And so she calls somebody. He comes up. No, we can't because we support that. Then the manager comes out and looks. The manager comes out and says, look, we got no time for this. Drag. And throws him out. Now, this guy, Ethan Schmidt-Crockett, has popped up before. Him and his handlebar, his little cute handlebar mustache. He's popped up before. Like I said, he said how he was going to go across the country and debate. I'm going to use that word. People that support the LGBTQ community. Now, let me just say this. If he happens to watch this video, I support the LGBTQ community. Now, surely, a 56-year-old man, come on, you're half my age. Come on, come out to Connecticut. I'd love to debate you. Surely, a 56-year-old LGBTQ community supporter, you could just talk to me mano a mano with no help. I'm sure you could do that. So that's a direct invitation to Ethan Schmidt-Crockett from me. Anyway, this directly, if you heard my story before, I apologize. He falsely portrays. He says this flag has something to do with the devil. I'll just use the devil. And he's using, I don't know if it's called a logical fallacy. If you're A, then you must be B. So he's trying to use this reasoning. I got a question for Ethan Schmidt-Crockett. Okay, so he continually, this is his point, that people that support this are supposedly, in this person's words, satanic. I got a question for him because I did a Google search. There are hundreds of satanic churches across the United States where black cape figures, I looked them up. I'll have some links down below. Seattle, Boston, Scottsdale, Arizona, the state you're from. And a funny thing, man, I did a search. I used the words like Ethan Schmidt-Crockett protests or confronts these events. Couldn't find one. Zero. So I got a question. This seems kind of odd. Ethan Schmidt-Crockett. Now he seems, this is his whole point. He's, that these people are supposedly doing this to these very innocent people, in our community. Again, I have to watch my language here. Non-adults. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But if that's his point, that this is against God and all this stuff, why isn't he at least confronting the people that are right out, with the upside down crosses? Why isn't he talking to, say, the gang members that get released from the penitentiaries with the upside down, all the imagery all over their tattoos? Why doesn't he confront them? These people are admittedly, and these events, like in Scottsdale, Arizona, Seattle, San Francisco, Boston, these people are what you're claiming these other people to be. But yet, not a word to them. Why is it? It almost seems like you're trying to distract from the actual people that are doing what you're saying. It's almost like you're trying to blame somebody else for what, it's almost like you're covering for them. It's like I said, do a search. Ethan Schmidt-Crockett and actual people that support, that worship this Antichrist. Do a search. 0. Okay, now let me get on to the next part of this. He makes this false reasoning that these people do this to this group of very innocent people. And I have the links down below. That overall, there's a study I got down below, and there was way more than one. 352 people that are survivors of this. And there's a 95% certainty that these 352 survivors knew or could identify what sexuality their attackers were. So there's no question there. Out of 352, 2 of them, which I don't know what the percentage is, but it's extremely low. It's quite the opposite of the majority, were from the LGBTQ community. The majority were family members, heterosexual family members that were the perpetrators. Wow, that's a big surprise to me, because you know what? That happened to me. And you know what? I'm going to actually use a name today, because this guy's passed away. This guy was dating my mom. Again, I apologize if you've heard this story before. My dad passed away when I was 9, terminal brain cancer. About a year or 2 later, the police would come by in Watertown, Connecticut, and check on the widow my mother, living out in the forest. And one of these policemen from Watertown started dating my mother, Patrick B. from Watertown, Connecticut. And he was had a lot of citations and all this heroic stuff. Heterosexual, man's man. What Ethan here is claiming these people do, the way they are preparing these innocent people, he did to me. He said, "Oh, your father passed away. I'll be there for you, Daryl. I'll show you how to fix your bike. I'll show you. I'll teach you baseball." He actually said this stuff to me, and then he turned around and grabbed me, and much worse. I talked about this before. I'm going to mention this one thing, which really messed me up. At 11 years old, this happened from when I was 11 till I believe when I was about 10 till I was about 13. When I was 13, I moved to a new house, and I found a pair of nunchucks in this new house that we moved to that my mother had saved up enough money to buy. And I learned how to use them. Very good, very professionally. And I went after them. I took a big chunk out of the ceiling, and I had to make up a lie. And that stopped it right there. I took care of the situation. At 13, I had grown a lot taller and more confident, and I ended the situation. I had to make up a lie to my mother why the piece of ceiling was missing. What could I say? Your boyfriend was trying to do this to me. Let me tell you one of the things he did. A lot of times I would stop fighting at a point because I was afraid for my younger sister that something might happen to her. So he would corner me or whatever. These things would happen. And after, he would give me a roll of quarters. Because at the time, this was probably around 1977, 78, 79, when Asteroids came out, the very first video machines, and I loved playing them. So he would give me a roll of quarters to go play them. So it was like my payment for going along with this. Now, at 11 years old, I knew what prostitution was, And in the back of my head, I was like, oh my God, I am a prostitute. 11-year-old boy, lost my dad. And this guy was a heterosexual policeman, So I got a little argument here. You can see what I'm trying to maintain my my composure here, but I got a little argument with the way Ethan Schmidt-Crockett is making his argument that all these people from this community are this. The links will be down below. You know what? I'm gonna even be fair. There's one link down below. It's from the Baptist something or other, some kind of religious organization that claims the opposite. And I read through their argument a little bit. And their argument isn't from actual study, from actual cases. If I'm not mistaken, it's from twisting the numbers around by saying, well, look, this has to be true because numbers and odds and, well, take it from me, man, because it happened to me. You know, I got the name. You know what? And there's one more piece of thing. One more piece. He had an identifying vein that stuck out when he got excited out of one particular side of his body. And how could I have known that? You know, so this is all proven. Everybody, before anybody says, you know, you're making this up just to make an argument or whatever like that. Everybody in my circle knows that this is, and he did this to other people too. Yeah, so I had the goods. I got the goods on him. There was no way I could know the things I knew unless he did something very, very inappropriate, extremely inappropriate. So Ethan Schmidt-Crockett, you know, why aren't you? If that is your issue, Satanism, why aren't you confronting actual Satanists? Either you're scared or you're covering for them. Which is it? Let me know. You guys have a good Tuesday.